Hey Griffins, today we're going to make a quinoa and kale power bowl. Hey Start and Restart International, I'm Andrew Billick here with Hospitality Services, and I just wanted to say welcome to Guelph. Here at Hospitality Services, we're all about international flavors and local ingredients, and we serve them at one of our 22 locations here on campus. We have the University Chef's Hall that has just been freshly renovated for you this fall. Here we are today in the beautiful historic Croman Hall, and we have our South Residence Dining, those are our three big cafeterias for you to eat on campus, but that's not it. We have food trucks, the Griffin Grill and Caffeine Canteen. We have a sit-down restaurant, which is Griff's Lounge, and we have so many different options for you. On a typical school day, we feed about 15 to 20,000 meals, and you can get anything under the sun almost any day. There's so many different international flavors, like our infusion counter at the University Chef's Hall, where we feature South Asian cuisine. We have our brand new Chef Sushi at the University Chef's Hall. And across campus, every single day, you'll find a different international special, whether it's at Prairie Hall or here at Croman at the exhibition station. So guys, today we're gonna make a quinoa and kale power bowl. Bowls have been a very popular dish here on campus for a little while, and there's something that's really easy for you to put together at home. So there's three components to a bowl to keep in mind to make it nice and easy. So you have your base, your garnish, and your dressing. So today we're gonna make a bowl, and the base is gonna be quinoa. But you could do something else like rice or barley, any grain, or even pasta if you like. Your garnishes would be what you'd put on top. So today we're gonna put a bunch of different chopped vegetables, but it could be vegetables, it could be eggs, it could be cheese, it could be any animal protein that you'd want to put on there. And then your dressing. Basically just a store-bought dressing, or if you wanted to make something oil and vinegar or emulsified vinaigrette, go right ahead with that. And then kind of in there, you can kind of play around with the flavor profiles. So today the flavors are kind of Italian, Mediterranean if you wanted, but you could go and do something that would be Greek. You know, you could do orzo as the base, tomatoes, cucumbers, feta cheese, lemon, oregano, vinaigrette. You could do something in the fall that would be kind of autumnal, right? You know, wild rice or a multi-grain rice, and have some roasted root vegetables, kale, some sunflower seeds or dried cranberries, and a nice dressing like with that. So today we're going to start with these ingredients. Let's get going. So our first step is to cook our quinoa. That's going to take the longest, so we're going to start that first. So I've got the pan on. I've got it on medium-high heat. I'm just going to warm the pan up. With quinoa and some other grains, a great way to add flavor is just to toast the grain. So I've got a cup of quinoa in here, and with the flame on, or your burner on, I'm just going to heat it up and toast it till it gets nutty. Now this isn't something that you need to do, but you know, why not kick it up a little bit? Okay, so you can smell the quinoa starting to get toasty. It's kind of like a nutty flavor that's coming off. So this is tricolor quinoa. Quinoa comes either white, a red, or a dark brown color. This is just a mix of the three. The reason that I like the mix of the three is they all cook at slightly a different rate, so you get a different kind of texture through all of them. So we've got 1 cup of quinoa. We're going to add 1 1/3 cups of water. Just a pinch of salt, and a little bit of vegetable oil. We're going to give this a mix with our spoon. We just want to make sure that everything's off the side of the pot. We'll let this come up to a boil, and as soon as it does, we'll put a lid on it, and then turn it down to low heat, and just let it simmer until it's nice and tender. So we're just going to slice up an onion quick. So we're just going to take the top off. Put this off into our compost bin. If you go to dice an onion, a great tip, just take off just what you need off the root end. If you keep a lot of that root intact, it's going to hold together better and make it easier to dice in the long run for you. Just going to take off the outer layers, and everything goes into the compost here. Okay, now since I'm going to slice this onion, I'm actually going to go and just cut that root off. I'm going to start with my knife on a 45-degree angle and just slice up. Once I get about 3/4 of the way through, I'm just going to take the onion, flop it over. It makes it nice and safe. Going to keep chopping, but again, just going to go 45-degree angle. Chop, chop, chop. There's our onions done. Next up, our red pepper. So I'm just going to cut it in half. I'm going to peel out the seeds with my hand. Take out a little bit of the white pith. Knock the seeds into our composter. Going to slice strips. Then I'm just going to dice this up. Something important to keep in mind when you're making these bowls is just when you're chopping the vegetables, you want to make sure that the vegetables or the protein or whatnot is all in a size that's going to fit on the end of your fork or your spoon and not be too large that it's too difficult to put in your mouth. Next up, we have our edamame. These are great to keep around the house. You buy them, they come in frozen, they come in shelled just like this. You just thaw them out in a little bit of hot water and they're ready to go in about 5 minutes. Really good snack to bring to campus or throw in a salad or a bowl just like this. So today we're going to put kale in our bowl, right? So real simple way to chop up kale. Comes on the stem just like this, so I've washed it. I'm just going to take it, just going to slide it off the stem. You get rid of this part, and then you're left with the nice tender part of the kale to chop up. So like we were talking about earlier about how these bowls are so versatile and you can put anything in there. We've got kale in here, but you know, any lettuce that you have kicking around, spinach or spring mix, put that in as well if you'd like as a substitute. And again, we're just going to chop it up so it's nice and easy to pick up with our fork. There you go. Okay, next up we're going to make some marinated tomatoes. This is pretty much bruschetta mix, and this is going to kind of double as our vinaigrette for today. So I've just sliced up some grape tomatoes. If you've got on the vine or hothouse tomatoes, you can just dice those up, but I really like the grape tomatoes. You can just cut them in half or leave them whole for this. I'm going to take a couple cloves of garlic. To chop up the garlic, we're just going to put it on the board and smash it with our knife just like this. And then we're just going to run our knife through it and chop it up. Okay, we've got some basil here. All right, I'm just going to pick off some leaves. Stems can go in your composter. I'm just going to do a rough chop on this. If you want, you can line up all the leaves nicely on top of each other. Do a nice neat pile and slice it really thin. But for today's dish, this is all we really need to do is just chop it up roughly like that. Okay, we're going to season this with a little bit of salt. A drizzle of olive oil, maybe a tablespoon of olive oil. And then I'm just going to take a lemon, I'm going to roll it on the board to loosen it up. I'm just going to squeeze some lemon juice in here. It's going to be a really nice bright flavor. And like I said, this is going to act as our dressing for today. I'm just going to mix this up. And we're almost ready to go. Okay, so let's check the quinoa. Oh, perfect. So as you can see, it's all cooked. It's absorbed all the water. It's nice and tender. All I'm going to do right now is I'm going to fluff it with a fork. Now this is good just like this. You could eat this as a side dish, or you can do what we're doing, prep it ahead of time, put it in the fridge, and you can use it in salads or bowls just like this. So now we're ready to go. All we have to do is plate. Okay, now plating is really easy, right? Right? We're just going to literally put everything in a bowl. Now, if you wanted to and get this ready for coming to campus the next day, you can just put this directly into a takeout container. So we've got a healthy amount of our quinoa in there. And I'm just going to kind of go around the circle and just put everything in here, right? So we've got our kale. We've got our chopped up red peppers. We have our edamame. Now, prepping things ahead of time is great for meal periods. If you wanted all this extra stuff, you can either make into a different salad, make an omelet if you like, throw some of the stuff in a soup. if you can throw a couple jobs together, it just makes food prep a little bit easier, and then you've got time for other things like studying or other things. And then we're just going to throw our marinated tomatoes on top here. Like we talked about so many times already, these dishes are really versatile. So we started with our base, which was our quinoa. We put all of our garnishes on, and now I've just got our little marinated tomato with lemon juice and olive oil and garlic and basil. I'm just going to put that on top as our dressing. And there you go, we got a little power bowl. Okay, Griffins, for all of us here at Hospitality Services, I just want to say we can't wait to see you in the fall, and until then, stay safe and eat well.